Earth's First Contact and the Zarkai Arrival. The night sky over New York City erupted in a dazzling display of light, momentarily outshining the city's famous skyline. Dr. Samantha Chen, lead astrophysicist at the Hayden Planetarium, stood transfixed on the observatory's roof, her eyes wide with wonder and disbelief. What had initially appeared to be a meteor shower was rapidly evolving into something far more extraordinary. "This can't be natural," she muttered, adjusting the settings on her high-powered telescope. The objects weren't burning up in the atmosphere as expected. Instead, they were decelerating, their trajectories shifting with impossible precision. Samantha's hand trembled as she reached for her phone. "Director Hayes, you need to see this. I think we're witnessing first contact." Within hours, the world was gripped by a mixture of fear, excitement, and uncertainty. News channels broadcast continuous footage of the alien ships, sleek, silvery craft that hovered silently over major cities across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond, militaries were placed on high alert, and civilians alternated between panic and awe. In Washington, D.C., an emergency meeting of world leaders and top scientists convened. Among them was Dr. Chen, hastily flown in to provide her expertise. The tension in the room was palpable as they debated their next move. "We need to establish communication," insisted the UN Secretary General, her voice strained but determined. "If they wanted to attack, they could have done so already. This is our chance to make a peaceful first impression." As if in response to her words, screams around the room flickered to life. A face appeared, distinctly alien, yet hauntingly beautiful. The being had iridescent scales instead of skin, piercing silver eyes, and a regal bearing that commanded instant attention. "People of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice a melodious blend of tones. "I am High Commander Zora of the Zarkai Imperium. We have come to assess your world and its potential place in our galactic community." The room erupted in a flurry of whispers and gasps. Samantha leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her initial shock. The aliens' use of perfect English was remarkable. Either they had been studying Earth for some time, or their translation technology was far beyond human capabilities. High Commander Zora continued, "We request a delegation to meet with us aboard our command ship. We will share our knowledge and determine if your species is worthy of joining the greater galactic civilization." The implications were staggering. Humanity was being offered a chance to step onto the cosmic stage, but the condescending tone in Zora's voice didn't go unnoticed. They were being judged, and the stakes couldn't be higher. As the world's leaders debated the composition of the delegation, Dr. Chen found herself unexpectedly nominated. "Your scientific expertise will be crucial," the president told her. "We need someone who can understand and evaluate their technology." Samantha nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, but it also carried immense responsibility. The chosen delegation was a carefully selected group: diplomats, scientists, and a small security detail led by Major David Santos, a decorated Special Forces operator known for his level-headedness in crisis situations. As they prepared to board the shuttle that would take them to the Zarkai command ship, Samantha couldn't help but notice the stark contrast between the human delegation and their alien hosts. The Zarkai were all female, each standing well over 7 feet tall, with powerful athletic builds that made even the fittest humans look fragile in comparison. "Quite the welcoming committee," Major Santos muttered, his hand instinctively resting near his sidearm. Samantha nodded in agreement, trying to quell the nervous flutter in her stomach. The journey to the alien ship was surreal. As they ascended through Earth's atmosphere, Samantha marveled at the view of her home planet growing smaller beneath them. The Zarkai ship loomed ahead, a massive structure that dwarfed anything humans had ever constructed in space. Upon docking, the delegation was escorted to a vast chamber that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The room appeared larger on the inside than the exterior of the ship should have allowed, with holographic displays showing star systems and alien worlds Samantha could only dream of studying. High Commander Zora greeted them, her towering presence both awe-inspiring and intimidating. "Welcome aboard the Celestial Sovereign," she said, her silver eyes scanning the human group with barely concealed amusement. "I trust your journey was adequate, given your primitive transportation technology." Samantha bristled at the condescension in Zora's tone, but maintained her composure. This was too important for personal feelings to get in the way. The next few hours were a whirlwind of introductions and initial negotiations. The Zarkai shared tantalizing glimpses of their advanced technology, faster-than-light travel, energy sources that could power entire planets, and medical techniques that could extend lifespans by centuries. But with each revelation came a subtle reminder of humanity's perceived inferiority. The Zarkai spoke of Earth as a quaint world, rich in resources, but lacking in significant galactic influence. During a brief recess, Samantha found herself alone with Major Santos. "They're toying with us," she whispered, frustration evident in her voice. "All this technology, this power, they're dangling it in front of us like a carrot on a stick." Santos nodded grimly. "I've seen this before in military operations. They're sizing us up, looking for weaknesses, but there's something else going on here. Have you noticed there isn't a single male among them?" Before Samantha could respond, they were called back to the main chamber. High Commander Zora stood at the center, a holographic display of Earth rotating slowly before her. "We have made our initial assessment," Zara announced, her voice echoing through the chamber. "While your world possesses some interesting qualities, we find your species lacking in several crucial areas." The human delegation tensed, sensing the shift in tone. Zara continued, her voice taking on a harder edge. "Your technological development is rudimentary at best. Your social structures are chaotic and inefficient, but most disappointingly, your species' reliance on a two-gender system has led to unnecessary conflict and stunted your potential." Samantha stepped forward, unable to contain herself any longer. "With all due respect, High Commander, you can't judge an entire species based on a few hours of interaction. Humanity has made incredible strides in science, art, and cooperation. Our diversity is our strength, not a weakness." Zara's silver eyes narrowed, focusing on Samantha with an intensity that made the scientist want to shrink back. But she held her ground, meeting the alien leader's gaze. "Brave words, little one," Zara said, a hint of amusement in her voice. "But words alone do not prove worth. The Zarkai Imperium has encountered many species in our travels. Those who cannot contribute meaningfully to our society are repurposed." The implication hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just first contact. It was an evaluation that could determine the fate of humanity. Major Santos stepped up beside Samantha, his posture rigid but controlled. "And what exactly would we need to do to prove our worth to your Imperium?" A slow, predatory smile spread across Zora's face. "Challenge, perhaps. A test to prove that your species has something unique to offer, something that might make us reconsider your potential." As Zara began to outline the terms of this challenge, Samantha's mind raced. The fate of Earth now rested on their ability to prove humanity's value to these alien warriors. But how could they demonstrate their worth to a species that seemed to hold them in such low regard? The first part of their cosmic trial was about to begin, and with it, the greatest test humanity had ever faced. As Samantha exchanged worried glances with Major Santos and the rest of the delegation, one thing became crystal clear. They were going to need every ounce of human ingenuity, courage, and determination to survive what was coming. The future of Earth hung in the balance, and the clock was ticking. Cultural clash and the human challenge. The tension aboard the Celestial Sovereign was palpable as High Commander Zora outlined the terms of the challenge. Her silver eyes gleamed with a mixture of amusement and disdain, clearly relishing the power she held over the human delegation. "Your species claims to possess unique qualities," Zora began, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. "We shall put that to the test. You will face a series of trials designed to evaluate your physical prowess, mental acuity, and adaptability. Should you prove yourselves worthy, we may reconsider Earth's position in the galactic community. Dr. Samantha Chen's mind raced, analyzing every word. The stakes were impossibly high, but there was also an opportunity here. If they could showcase humanity's strengths, they might not only save Earth, but also gain access to incredible technological advancements. Major David Santos stepped forward, his voice steady despite the pressure. And if we refuse this challenge? Zara's laugh was like ice crackling. Refusal is, of course, your right. But be aware that those who cannot contribute to the Imperium are typically reallocated. Your planet's resources would be put to better use under Zarkai management. The implication was clear: participate or face subjugation, possibly even extinction. Samantha exchanged a glance with Santos, seeing her own determination mirrored in his eyes. "We accept your challenge, High Commander," she said, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. "Humanity has faced adversity before. We're ready to prove our worth." Bold words, little scientist, Zara smirked. "Let us see if your actions can match them." The trials begin at dawn. As the human delegation was escorted to their quarters, the reality of their situation began to sink in. They were billions of miles from home, about to engage in contests that could determine the fate of their entire species, against an alien race that viewed them as little more than amusing pets. In their shared chamber, Samantha paced restlessly, while Santos checked every corner for surveillance devices. "We need a strategy," she said, once they were as sure of privacy as they could be. "They're obviously physically superior, and their technology is beyond anything we've ever seen. But there has to be something we have that they don't." Santos nodded, his military training kicking in. In special ops, we're often outgunned and outnumbered. The key is to find the enemy's blind spot and exploit it. These Zarkai, they're overconfident. That's a weakness we can use. As they brainstormed late into the night, a plan began to form. It was risky, potentially even foolhardy, but it was the best chance they had. The following morning, the human delegation was led to a massive arena-like structure within the ship. Thousands of Zarkai spectators filled the stands, their scales shimmering under the artificial lights. High Commander Zara sat on an elevated platform, looking every bit the imperious leader. "Your first trial," Zara announced, her voice booming through the arena, "is one of physical endurance. You will face our champion in hand-to-hand combat. Victory is achieved by incapacitation or surrender." A murmur of excitement rippled through the Zarkite audience. From the opposite end of the arena emerged their champion, a towering figure even by Zarkai standards, her muscled body covered in battle scars. Santos stepped forward, removing his jacket. Compared to the Zarkai warrior, he looked almost comically small. Samantha felt a knot of fear in her stomach, but Santos' face remained impassive. "Remember the plan," he muttered to Samantha before stepping into the arena. "No matter what happens, stick to it." The match began, and it was immediately clear that the Zarkai champion was toying with Santos. She moved with lightning speed, landing punishing blows that would have felled a lesser man. But Santos was no ordinary soldier. He took the hits, rolled with the punches, and kept getting back up. The Zarkai audience laughed and jeered, clearly enjoying the spectacle of the weak human being battered around. But Samantha noticed something they didn't. Santos was watching, learning, adapting with every exchange. 15 minutes into the bout, Santos was battered and bloodied, but still standing. The Zarkai champion, initially amused, now looked frustrated. She charged in for a finishing blow, but this time Santos was ready. He ducked under her swing, used her momentum against her, and executed a perfect throw that sent the much larger alien crashing to the ground. The arena fell silent. The Zarkai champion, more shocked than hurt, slowly got to her feet. She stared at Santos with a mixture of confusion and newfound respect. High Commander Zara's voice cut through the silence. And, interesting tactic, human. But surely you realize that a single throw does not constitute victory. Santos, breathing heavily, looked directly at Zara. No, it doesn't. But it proves a point. We may not be as strong or as fast, but we can learn, adapt, and overcome. That's humanity's strength. A ripple of murmurs spread through the Zarkai audience. For the first time, there was a hint of uncertainty in their reactions. Zara's eyes narrowed. Very well. You've survived the first trial. But do not let this small success inflate your ego. The true tests are yet to come. As Santos was helped out of the arena by his fellow delegates, Samantha couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. They had made their first point. Humans were not to be underestimated. The next trial came swiftly. The delegation was brought to a vast chamber filled with alien technology. Holographic displays showed complex mathematical equations and engineering schematics that made even Samantha's head spin. Your next challenge, Zara announced, is one of intellect. Before you is a problem that has puzzled our greatest minds for centuries. You have one planetary rotation to solve it. Samantha stepped up, her scientific curiosity overriding her apprehension. The problem appeared to be related to stable wormhole creation, a concept that Earth scientists had only theorized about. For hours, Samantha and her fellow scientists pored over the data. The complexity was overwhelming, but slowly, patterns began to emerge. Earth's scientific knowledge might have been primitive compared to the Zarkai, but human creativity and outside-the-box thinking were proving invaluable. As the deadline approached, Samantha had a breakthrough. The solution wasn't in trying to control the wormhole's every aspect, as the Zarkai had been attempting. Instead, it required setting up the initial conditions and allowing the wormhole to stabilize itself, a concept inspired by Earth's chaos theory. With seconds to spare, Samantha input the final calculations. The holographic display erupted in a dazzling simulation of a stable wormhole forming. The Zarkai scientists crowded around, their earlier disdain replaced by genuine interest. High Commander Zara's face was unreadable as she approached. "You've solved it," Zara said, a hint of disbelief in her voice. "Using methods we never considered." "How?" Samantha stood tall, emboldened by their success. "Humanity's greatest strength is our diversity of thought. We approach problems from angles you might never consider because our experiences and perspectives are so varied." Zara was silent for a long moment, studying Samantha with those unsettling silver eyes. "You continue to surprise us, humans, but do not celebrate yet. The final trial will truly test the mettle of your species." As they were led away, Samantha felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. They had passed 2 trials, showcasing both physical adaptability and mental ingenuity. But what could the Zarkai have planned for the final test? The answer came in a form none of them expected. They were brought to a chamber unlike any they had seen on the ship. It was a lush, verdant garden, filled with alien flora of breathtaking beauty. In the center stood a single plant, its iridescent petals pulsing with an inner light. "This," Zara said, her voice uncharacteristically soft, "is the heart bloom. It is sacred to our people, the key to our longevity and power. But it is dying, and none of our efforts have been able to save it." The delegation exchanged confused glances. This didn't seem like a trial at all. Zara continued, her eyes fixed on the wilting plant. "Your final test is simple. Save the heart bloom. Succeed, and we will acknowledge your species as equals. Fail, and, well, you know the consequences." As the Zarkai left them alone with the dying plant, the weight of their task settled over the delegation. This wasn't just about proving humanity's worth anymore. They were being asked to save something precious to an entire civilization. Samantha approached the heart bloom, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. But as she reached out to touch its drooping petals, she hesitated. Something told her that this problem wouldn't be solved by science alone. She turned to her fellow delegates, seeing the same realization dawning on their faces. This final trial would require everything humanity had to offer: their knowledge, their creativity, and most importantly, their heart. As they began to work, pooling their diverse skills and perspectives, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that this challenge was about more than just saving a plant. It was about proving that humanity had something unique and valuable to offer the galaxy. The clock was ticking, the heart bloom's light pulsing weaker with each passing moment. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the future of human-Zarkai relations, hung in the balance. It was time for humanity to show its true colors: unexpected allies and hidden strengths. The heart bloom's ethereal glow pulsed weakly, its once vibrant petals now drooping towards the rich alien soil. Dr. Samantha Chen and the rest of the human delegation stood in a loose circle around the plant, the weight of their impossible task bearing down on them. "All right, let's approach this systematically," Samantha said, her scientific mind kicking into high gear. "What do we know about this species? What have we observed about its environment here?" As the scientists in the group began rattling off observations, Major Santos stepped closer to the plant, his brow furrowed in concentration. "You know what," he said, interrupting the scientific discussion. "This reminds me of something I saw in the Amazon rainforest during a training exercise. There was this orchid that only bloomed when—" He trailed off, noticing the others staring at him. "Sorry, I'm not the plant expert here. Just thinking out loud." But Samantha's eyes had lit up. "No, go on, Major. Sometimes the most unlikely connections can lead to breakthroughs. What about that orchid?" As Santos described the symbiotic relationship he'd observed between the orchid and a specific species of ant, Samantha felt a spark of inspiration. What if the heart bloom wasn't just a plant, but part of a larger ecological system? "We need to expand our focus," she announced to the group. "Let's not just look at the plant itself, but everything around it. The soil, the air, the other flora in this chamber, even the tiniest insects if we can find any." The delegation split into teams, each taking on a different aspect of the environment. Hours passed as they meticulously cataloged every detail they could observe. Samantha found herself working alongside a linguist who had been brought along to facilitate communication with the Zarkai. "Dr. Chen," the linguist said, excitement creeping into her voice, "I think I found something interesting in the Zarkai language. The word they use for the heart bloom, it doesn't just mean plant or flower. The closest translation I can come up with is nexus or connection point." Samantha's mind raced with the implications. So it's not just a plant. It's a cornerstone of some larger system. But what? As if in answer to her question, a small commotion broke out on the other side of the chamber. One of the junior scientists was pointing excitedly at something on the ground. "Dr. Chen, Major Santos, you need to see this." Samantha and David hurried over. At first, she couldn't see what had caused such excitement. The scientist was pointing at what looked like ordinary soil. But then she saw it. A slight movement. A shimmer of iridescence. "It's some kind of microorganism," the young scientist explained, his voice filled with awe. "But look what happens when it gets near the heart bloom." As they watched, the tiny creatures seemed to glow brighter, moving with more vigor as they approached the wilting plant. But instead of climbing onto the heart bloom, they burrowed into the soil around its roots. "It's a symbiotic relationship," Samantha breathed, the pieces finally clicking into place. The heart bloom isn't dying. It's been separated from its symbiotic partner. The realization sent a jolt of energy through the team. They had found the key, but now they faced a new challenge: how to reestablish the connection between the heart bloom and these microscopic allies. As the delegation debated various approaches, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. A holographic display materialized, showing High Commander Zora's imposing figure. "Humans," she said, her silver eyes unreadable, "your allocated time is nearly at an end. What progress have you made?" Samantha stepped forward, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "High Commander, we believe we've identified the problem. The heart bloom is part of a complex symbiotic system. Its decline isn't due to illness, but separation from its microbiotic partners. Zara's expression flickered. Was it surprise? Interest? It was hard to tell with her alien features. Explain, she commanded. As Samantha laid out their findings, she could see the Zarkai leader's demeanor slowly shifting. The condescension that had marked their earlier interactions was fading, replaced by a grudging respect. And, interesting theory, Zara said when Samantha had finished. But theories alone will not save the heart bloom. You have one planetary rotation remaining. Show us that humans can do more than just observe and hypothesize. The transmission cut off, leaving the delegation in tense silence. Right, Santos said, clapping his hands together. We've identified the problem. Now we need a solution, and fast. Any ideas? The next hours were a whirlwind of activity. The team worked tirelessly, combining their diverse knowledge and skills in ways they never had before. The botanists and microbiologists worked on cultivating the symbiotic microorganisms, while the physicists and engineers cobbled together a device to encourage their growth and guide them towards the heart bloom's root system. Samantha found herself bouncing between groups, her mind racing to connect disparate ideas into a cohesive plan. It was exhausting, exhilarating work, the kind of collaborative problem-solving that showcased humanity at its best. As their deadline approached, a sense of cautious optimism filled the chamber. Their makeshift device was in place, gently encouraging the microorganisms to colonize the soil around the heart bloom. Now, all they could do was wait and hope. The final hours ticked by intense silence. Every small movement of the heart bloom's petals, every fluctuation in its ethereal glow, sent ripples of anticipation through the team. Then, with less than an hour remaining, something remarkable happened. The heart bloom's glow, which had been steadily dimming for so long, began to intensify. Its drooping petals slowly lifted, reaching towards the artificial light of the chamber. A collective gasp went through the delegation. They had done it. The heart bloom was reviving. The chamber doors slid open, admitting High Commander Zara and a group of Zarkai scientists. Their eyes widened as they took in the scene. The human delegation, disheveled and exhausted but triumphant, standing around the now vibrant heart bloom. Zara approached slowly, her gaze fixed on the pulsing plant. When she finally turned to address the humans, there was a new quality to her voice, something almost like humility. "You have succeeded where our greatest minds have failed," she said. "Not only have you saved the heart bloom, but you have provided us with invaluable insights into its nature. We underestimated your species." Samantha stepped forward, aware that this moment could define human-Zarkai relations for generations to come. "High Commander, this success wasn't the work of any one individual. It was the result of collaboration, of combining diverse perspectives and skills. That is humanity's greatest strength, our ability to work together, to find connections that others might miss." Zara was silent for a long moment, her silver eyes studying each member of the human delegation in turn. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of a formal proclamation. "Humans of Earth, you have proven yourselves worthy of a place in the galactic community. The Zarkai Imperium extends an offer of alliance and cultural exchange. We have much to learn from each other." The relief and joy that swept through the human delegation was palpable. They had done it. They had secured a future for Earth and opened the door to a new era of interstellar cooperation. As the formal ceremonies and negotiations began, Samantha found a quiet moment with Major Santos. "We did it," she said, still hardly believing it herself. "We actually did it." Santos nodded, a tired but satisfied smile on his face. "We showed them what humans are really capable of. But you know, this is just the beginning, right? We got a whole galaxy of challenges ahead of us now." Samantha laughed, feeling the surge of excitement at the thought. "Bring it on. After what we've just been through, I think humanity is ready for anything the universe can throw at us." As they rejoined the others, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. not just in their accomplishments, but in the spirit of cooperation and determination that had gotten them here. They had faced an impossible challenge and emerged victorious, not through superior strength or advanced technology, but through the uniquely human qualities of adaptability, creativity, and teamwork. The journey ahead would be long and undoubtedly filled with new challenges. But as she watched the humans, and Zarkai beginning to interact with newfound respect and curiosity, Samantha knew that they had taken the first, crucial step towards a brighter future, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The stars no longer seemed distant and unreachable. They were a promise, an invitation to explore and grow. Humanity had proven its worth, and the universe was waiting. The battle for Earth's fate. The days following the Heartbloom's revival were a whirlwind of diplomatic negotiations and cultural exchanges. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between human and Zarkai understanding. The initial offer of alliance from High Commander Zora had been a monumental step, but translating that offer into a functional interspecies relationship was proving to be a complex challenge. As Samantha sat in yet another meeting, surrounded by both human diplomats and Zarkai representatives, she couldn't shake a nagging feeling that something was off. The Zarkai were sharing technological insights that made her head spin with possibilities, but they remained oddly reticent about certain aspects of their society and history. Dr. Chen, High Commander Zora's voice cut through her thoughts. You seem distracted. Is there something you wish to add to the discussion? Samantha straightened in her seat, aware of all eyes on her. My apologies, High Commander. I was just reflecting on how much we still have to learn about each other. While we're deeply grateful for the technological knowledge you're sharing, I can't help but feel there's much about Zarkai culture and history that remains a mystery to us. A ripple of tension passed through the Zarkai delegates. Zara's silver eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. All in due time, Dr. Chen. Some knowledge is sensitive. Surely you understand the need for cautious progression in these matters. Before Samantha could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Zarkai leaped to their feet, their earlier composure replaced by urgent action. We are under attack, Zara announced, her voice cold and controlled despite the chaos erupting around them. It seems not all in the galaxy welcome our new alliance. Screens around the chamber flickered to life, showing a massive fleet of ships unlike anything Samantha had ever seen. They were organic in appearance, more like giant spacefaring creatures than constructed vessels. The Vorlix, one of the Zarkai officers, spat the name like a curse. A species we believed long defeated. They must have been waiting, gathering strength. Zara turned to the human delegation, her expression grave. It seems our alliance will face its first test sooner than anticipated. The Vorlix are a parasitic race, consuming worlds and civilizations to fuel their expansion. If they have returned in such force, it can only mean one thing. They seek to invade Earth. The words hit Samantha like a physical blow. After all they had accomplished, after proving humanity's worth to the galaxy, was Earth about to face a threat it couldn't possibly hope to defeat? Major Santos stepped forward, his military training kicking in. What are our options, High Commander? Surely the Zarkai fleet can help defend Earth. Zara's expression was grim. Our forces are scattered across the Imperium. By the time we rally a sufficient defense force, the Vorlix will have already reached your world. We can offer support, but the brunt of this battle may fall to Earth itself. The human delegates exchanged horrified looks. Earth's military capabilities, while formidable by terrestrial standards, were woefully inadequate for an interstellar conflict. Samantha's mind raced. There had to be a solution, some way to leverage their newfound alliance and the unique strengths of humanity. High Commander, she said, an idea forming. You said the Vorlix are parasitic, consuming civilizations. What exactly does that mean? How do they operate? As Zara explained the Vorlix's tactics, their use of biological weapons to subvert and control populations, their hive mind structure, their inability to innovate and reliance on stolen technologies. Samantha felt a spark of hope. "I think I have an idea," she said, her voice growing stronger as the plan took shape in her mind. "But it's going to require trust and cooperation on a scale we haven't yet attempted. We need to combine Zarkai technology with human ingenuity and Earth's biological diversity." Over the next few hours, as the Vorlix fleet drew ever closer to Earth, an audacious plan was born. Zarkai ships would escort a small team of humans back to Earth at top speed, carrying with them blueprints for advanced defensive systems. But the real key to their strategy lay in a daring biological countermeasure. "It's risky," Samantha admitted as she outlined the plan to a joint human-Zarkai task force. "We'll be essentially fighting fire with fire, using Earth's microbiological diversity to create a weapon the Vorlix can't adapt to. But if it works, we could not only save Earth but potentially end the Vorlix threat for good." As the plan was put into motion, Samantha found herself working around the clock alongside Zarkai scientists. The cultural barriers that had seemed so insurmountable just days ago fell away in the face of their common goal. Ideas flowed freely, each species building on the other's insights in a beautiful dance of collaborative innovation. Meanwhile, back on Earth, governments around the world were mobilizing. The news of an impending alien invasion had initially been met with skepticism and panic, but as the first Zarkai ships arrived with their human passengers and warnings, the reality of the situation sank in. Major Santos, who had volunteered to lead the ground defense preparations, was impressed by how quickly humanity rose to the challenge. Nations that had been at odds for generations now worked together, pooling resources and manpower. The plans for the Zarkai-inspired defense systems were distributed globally, with engineers and scientists working tirelessly to implement them. As the day of the Vorlix arrival drew near, an eerie calm settled over the planet. In every major city, newly constructed defense towers hummed with energy. Satellites reconfigured with Zarkai technology stood ready to coordinate a global response, and at strategic points around the globe, carefully engineered biological countermeasures waited to be deployed. Samantha, who had returned to Earth to oversee the final preparations, stood in a command center alongside military leaders from around the world. Screens showed the Vorlix fleet entering the solar system, their organic ships looking like a swarm of monstrous insects against the backdrop of space. "This is it," she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. "Everything we are, everything we could be, comes down to this moment." The first wave of Vorlix ships entered Earth's atmosphere, and for a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then, with a synchronized precision that would have been impossible just weeks ago, Earth's defenses sprang to life. Energy beams lanced up from the defense towers, shattering Vorlix ships mid-descent. Satellites coordinated a global response, ensuring that no area was left vulnerable. But the Vorlix were numerous and determined. For every ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. "They're launching biological pods," a technician called out, his voice tense. Atmospheric dispersal of their parasitic agents in progress. This was the moment they had prepared for. With a nod from the Joint Human-Zarkai Command, the order was given. Earth's biological countermeasure was released, a carefully engineered swarm of microorganisms designed to target the Vorlix's biological weapons while remaining harmless to Earth's ecosystems. For agonizing hours, the battle raged. The skies above every continent were lit with the fiery destruction of Vorlix ships and the flickering of energy shields. On the ground, the invisible war between microscopic combatants played out, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. And then, almost anticlimactically, it was over. The remaining Vorlix ships, their biological weapons neutralized and their forces decimated, retreated in disarray. Cheers erupted in command centers and streets around the world as the realization of victory sank in. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the full scale of what they had accomplished became clear, Samantha found herself standing alongside High Commander Zara, looking out over a changed Earth. "You have surprised us once again," Zara said, a new respect evident in her voice. Few species have ever survived a Vorlix invasion, let alone repelled one so decisively. Your strategy, combining our technology with your planet's natural defenses, was innovative. Samantha smiled, feeling the deep sense of pride not just in her own contributions, but in humanity as a whole. That's what we do best, High Commander. We adapt, we innovate, we find strength in our diversity. And now, with allies like the Zarkai, there's no limit to what we might accomplish. As they stood there, watching cleanup efforts already beginning around the globe, Samantha knew that this was more than just a victory against an alien threat. It was the dawn of a new era for humanity. They had proven themselves not just to the Zarkai, but to the galaxy at large. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges to face, prejudices to overcome, and an entire universe of wonders and dangers to explore. But looking at the determination on the faces of humans and Zarkai working side by side, Samantha felt a surge of optimism. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger world, and they had done so not by conquering or submitting, but by embodying the very qualities that made them unique: adaptability, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit of cooperation. The battle for Earth's fate was won. Now, the true adventure was just beginning. A new understanding and galactic future. In the months following the Vorlix invasion, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in human history. The scars of battle were still visible in many places, craters from downed ships, buildings damaged in the conflict, but they stood alongside marvels of hybrid human Zarkai technology that would have seemed like science fiction mere months ago. Dr. Samantha Chen stood on the balcony of the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center in Geneva, marveling at how quickly the world had changed. Below her, humans and Zarkai moved about with purpose, the initial awkwardness of their interactions giving way to a growing sense of camaraderie. Quite a view, isn't it? The voice belonged to Major David Santos, now Colonel Santos, who had played a crucial role in coordinating Earth's ground defenses during the invasion. Samantha smiled as he joined her at the railing. It's incredible. Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come in such a short time, or how far we have yet to go, Santos added, nodding towards the sky where the faint outline of a Zarkai ship was visible. The galaxy's a big place, and we're just getting started. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime, indicating an incoming transmission. A holographic display materialized before them, showing the face of High Commander Zara. Dr. Chen, Colonel Santos, Zara greeted them, her silver eyes gleaming with what Samantha had learned to recognize as excitement. I trust preparations for the Galactic Council meeting are proceeding well. Samantha nodded. Everything's on schedule, High Commander. Earth is ready to make its case for full membership in the Galactic Alliance. Excellent, Zara replied. I have news that may be of interest. Our long-range scouts have detected unusual activity in a nearby star system. We believe it may be a previously unknown sentient species, and given humanity's recent achievements, the Council has suggested that Earth lead the first contact mission. Samantha and Santos exchanged looks of surprise and excitement. This was an unprecedented opportunity, a chance for humanity to pay forward the trust and guidance the Zarkai had shown them. We be honored, High Commander, Santos said. When do we depart? After the Council meeting. Assuming all goes well, Zara answered. Which reminds me, I'll be arriving on Earth shortly to assist with final preparations. There are still some on the Council who need convincing of humanity's readiness. As the transmission ended, Samantha felt a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. The upcoming Galactic Council meeting would determine humanity's place in the wider universe, and now they had the added pressure of preparing for a first contact mission. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Delegates from every nation on Earth worked alongside Zarkai advisors to prepare their presentation for the Council. Samantha found herself at the heart of it all, her unique experience bridging the gap between human and alien perspectives proving invaluable. Finally, The day of the council meeting arrived. Representatives from a dozen different alien species converged on Earth, their ships filling the sky above Geneva in a dazzling display of interstellar diversity. As Samantha stood before the assembled council, she felt the weight of every human on Earth watching, hoping, depending on her words. She took a deep breath and began to speak. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, I stand before you not just as a representative of Earth, but as a symbol of what cooperation between species can achieve. Months ago, humanity was unaware of life beyond our planet. Today, we stand on the brink of becoming full members of a galactic community. She went on to detail humanity's achievements, their quick adaptation to alien technology, their innovative solutions during the Vorlix invasion, their eagerness to learn and contribute to the greater galactic society. As she spoke, she could see the council members leaning in, their alien features showing various signs of interest and approval. But perhaps our greatest strength, Samantha continued, is not in what we know, but in how we approach what we don't know. Humanity's curiosity, our drive to explore and understand, is the force that has propelled us from cave paintings to the stars in a cosmic blink of an eye. As she concluded her speech, the chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien vocalizations that the translators interpreted as applause. The vote that followed was unanimous. Earth was to be granted full membership in the Galactic Alliance. The celebrations that followed were like nothing Earth had ever seen. Humans and aliens alike danced in the streets, their jubilation transcending the boundaries of species and culture. For the first time, humanity truly felt part of something greater than themselves. But even as the celebrations continued, Samantha, Santos, and a select team were already preparing for their next great adventure. The first contact mission. The Zarkai provided them with a ship of their own, a marvel of technology that still took Samantha's breath away every time she stepped aboard. As they made final preparations for departure, High Commander Zora approached Samantha on the launch pad. "Dr. Chen," she said, her voice uncharacteristically soft, "I owe you an apology." Samantha blinked in surprise. "An apology? For what?" "When we first encountered your species, we saw only your technological limitations. We failed to recognize the true strength of humanity, your adaptability, your creativity, your unrelenting spirit. You have taught the Zarkai, and indeed the entire Alliance, a valuable lesson about the danger of underestimating others." Deeply moved, Samantha placed a hand on Zora's arm, a gesture of friendship that would have been unthinkable just months ago. "Thank you, High Commander. But remember, we couldn't have achieved any of this without the trust and guidance the Zarkai showed us. This is a victory we share." As their ship lifted off, carrying humanity's first interstellar expedition to meet a new alien species, Samantha felt a profound sense of coming full circle. They had once been the ones nervously awaiting first contact. Now they were the advanced species reaching out to welcome others into the galactic community. The journey to the newly discovered star system took several weeks, even with the advanced Zarkai propulsion technology. Samantha spent the time coordinating with her team, developing strategies for peaceful contact based on their own experiences with the Zarkai. As they approached the alien planet, tension mounted on the ship. The world before them was a swirl of purple and green, with vast oceans and spiraling continents unlike anything on Earth. "Life signs detected," one of the crew announced. "And artificial structures. There's definitely an advanced civilization down there." Samantha shared a look with Santos. This was it, humanity's first step into their new role as members of the galactic community. "Send the greeting package we prepared," Samantha instructed. "Let's show them we come in peace." Hours passed in tense silence as they waited for a response. And then, finally, a transmission. The ship's computers worked to translate the alien language. And slowly, words began to form on their screens. "Welcome, visitors from beyond. We are the Lissari, and we greet you in peace and curiosity." A collective sigh of relief went through the crew as they began the delicate dance of first contact. Samantha felt a swell of pride and excitement. This was why humanity had looked to the stars for so long, not just to explore, but to connect, to grow, to become part of something greater than themselves. In the years that followed, humanity continued to flourish as part of the Galactic Alliance. Earth became a hub of interstellar culture and commerce. Its cities transformed into shining beacons of cooperation between species. The same adaptability and innovative spirit that had saved them from the Vorlix now drove them to new heights of achievement in science, art, and exploration. And yet, they never forgot the lessons of those early days. The importance of humility, the strength found in diversity, and the power of reaching out to the unknown with an open hand rather than a closed fist. As Samantha watched a group of human and alien children playing together in a park that had once been a battlefield, she smiled. The journey hadn't been easy, and there would undoubtedly be challenges ahead. But humanity had found its place among the stars, not by conquering or submitting, but by embodying the very qualities that made them unique. The future stretched out before them, vast and full of possibilities, and humanity, with its unquenchable curiosity and indomitable spirit, was ready to face whatever the universe had in store. As the sun set on another day in this new era of human history, Samantha looked up at the stars, no longer distant and unreachable, but a shining promise of adventures yet to come. Humanity's greatest journey was just beginning.